guys, welcome back to my channel. So because week 3 highlights was super long while I was like editing it, I broken it down into 2 parts, so this is part 2, and as always, enjoy. It's hailing. So it is Friday, May 6th. I'm just walking to the mall. I'm going to check out what a mall in Peru is going to be like. It's called Plaza Vea, and check it out. So it's about like a 40-minute walk from my house, and you have to wear a mask and show proof of COVID vaccination. Fast food chain burger place. I ordered something that looked appealing based on the picture, but I would have to say after eating it, I would say with like a 4 out of 10. It was like very crunchy, it was pretty tiny in portions. The meat patty, I'm assuming it's supposed to be beef. It did not look like beef patty, or it was very tiny. Ketchup here tastes quite different. And then the bun was a bit crunchy, or maybe it's just been sitting out for a while. But I would definitely not get it again. I think McDonald's still is a little better, even though I refuse to eat McDonald's unless it's like an emergency. So I definitely have to say I miss In-N-Out burgers for sure, or the burgers back home. So it is the end of week 3 here. I can't believe I have one more volunteer week. But I would say I much more enjoyed the 4th floor this week. I felt like I learned a lot more.
That might be because of the doctors who showed a lot more passion and an interest in education. So one of the days I worked with a doctor that allowed us to take vitals. So me and the medical student alternated taking manual vital signs, and then she gave us some good tips, and I got to use a Littman stethoscope, so the doctor's stethoscope. Pretty cool. She allowed us to auscultate the abdomen, so I could hear like the crunching noise from, you know, with digestion working, so bowel sounds, which was pretty awesome because I've never gotten to do that back home. I also got to observe some of the surgeons, do some wound care, which included changing out a drainage post bariatric surgery. I saw patients who had just had C-sections, so I got to see the babies. They're just so small and cute. And one of the doctors taught us some techniques of like how to check newborns, because obviously we can't test their alert and oriented, like neurological functions, because obviously they can't speak. So you would like grace the bottom of their foot, and that if they react, that's good, they have reflexes. And then when you push down on their stomach or like leg, you're testing capillary refill. Should be less than like 2 seconds, which we also check in adults. And it's interesting to see the difference between two babies. But the doctor pointed out that one of the skin was a little bit yellow for a little longer than the other, possibly because the baby was in the mother's womb for a lot longer, and the mother was also older. One was 39 years old who gave birth to their first child, and the other was 32, also who gave birth to their first child. So it was pretty interesting to see the difference between the two. Another thing, when you grace the baby's cheek, automatic response should be for the baby's mouth to open. And then she pointed out some other things too. I got to learn to write SOAP notes, so subjective, objective assessment plan, but it's all in Spanish, so obviously I'm not really good at writing Spanish, so I just kind of verbally walked through, and I got to see a lot of the charts, so I kind of had an idea of how to write one, which was pretty cool, which is all again preparing me for PA school and being a PA, because providers also write SOAP notes. Got to write indications in Spanish, which means their treatment plans. And the doctor would ask me questions like, oh, like, do you understand what this medication does? And whatnot. So it was cool to see also the differences between some Spanish medications in comparison to how we call it in the US. For example, paracetamol is the equivalent of acetaminophen or Tylenol, pain reliever, so that's pretty cool. Dihymenitrido, can't pronounce it, is the same as Dramamine, which is for nausea or altitude sickness. So learning a lot. Again, a lot of what I primarily do here for volunteering is to translate between the patients and the doctor, at least on the 6th floor, because the internationals this time around I actually got to learn more of like medicine, and a lot of the doctors are able to speak English, and they would make me speak in Spanish, which is good practice, and I appreciate that. What else did I get to do? Oh, and then I got to work with a doctor's first day on the job. He became a doctor in 2019, but this is, I mean, he's worked in other places, but the day I got to work with him was his very first day working on the job, and poor guy, so stressed out and overwhelmed. I read other people's like body language and I feel the vibe, and I was starting to get anxious because he was. When we would try to go upstairs to go see the patient, we'd end up going back downstairs to the nurse's station because he would just be preoccupied with trying to finish the labs. To finish the charting. And then this last 2 hours of the shift, we had 2 code greens, which indicates emergency calls, 911s, where the doctor goes out and runs the call, and he was like, no, I'm getting called, I need to finish all these like discharge paperwork and charting. Poor guy. But it was pretty cool. I got to go on the ambulance again, and I got to help with the vital signs. And, you know, since he was kind of figuring out things out too, it was pretty cool that we got to work together. Thankfully, both patients were pretty mild cases of high altitude sickness. So we were just making sure that their oxygen levels were within range. And then it's pretty interesting that when we go out to see them, we would carry a card reader to accept payments. So it's kind of like a business in a way. But yeah, and then today I worked with another different doctor. Keep in mind, like every day pretty much rotates with like a different doctor. I don't know how many different doctors that work at the hospital, but it's pretty cool that I get to meet and see how different doctors, you know, do the rounds or how they interact with patients, and teaching me different skills. And so the med student and I today got to work with the nurse to do an EKG on a young patient. And the EKG is so different than back home. So instead of electrodes, stickers that go onto the chest and your extremities, these are so outdated, but they're like clips that go onto both wrists and ankles. And then instead of stickers that go around the left side of the chest, just around the heart, there's these like suctions. You used to put the electrode gel first, and then you put the suction thing on top of it for V1 through 6. And poor girl had marks afterwards, so it looked as if she had cupping. But it was so cool that I got to do that. It was a little different, but obviously it reads the same way. But yeah, I had a really good week. Oh, and also the patient that we did the EKG on, so her story was that she tore her ACL, and then also got bruises like on her left eye. And the story was that she got into a motor accident. She was a pedestrian, and you won't believe who hit her. It was a police officer. Yep. Police officer. I'm not sure if it was a car or a motorcycle, but he hit her and then drove off. Messed up, poor girl. But thankfully she's doing well, she's healthy, and she's about to go home soon.